to begin.
Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This is episode 50. To me personally, it's a pretty big milestone, just because it's half of 100, so kind of almost there. That was a goal that I set for myself in the beginning, and it's not a big goal, of course, but I think it's a realistic goal in terms of how many episodes I wanted to release. And although it feels like it might be a little for the time frame in which the podcast has been around, I definitely do think that I've taken my time to kind of tailor each episode to, stand on its own, I guess, and ultimately kind of be able to tell a different story each and every time without just kind of, releasing half-ass episodes and not having any real context to them. Either way, I hope you guys continue enjoying the episodes. I'm glad that I have the support that I do, and I hope the support keeps growing. And for those who don't enjoy the show, well, what can I tell you? I'm not here to please everybody. Nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Redcat. He is a friend, he is a hip-hop artist, and he is most importantly, a great human being. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. I don't want to give away too much, but I guess if I had to summarize the episode a little bit, it's really just kind of touching base on the U.S. politics that we're currently seeing in this year, 2020, this crazy-ass year, and kind of trying to, break down and, air quotes, analyze like any mental and emotional states on subjective thought. Subjective thought, if you don't know the definition of that, it's all mostly based on opinion. So we kind of just jumped around with conversation, with topics here and there. So I hope you guys enjoy it. There's definitely a little section about misinformation and how it's associated, or it could be associated, to conspiracy theories, and basically just a trip down the rabbit hole of life cycles, what they mean in terms of awareness and spiritual growth. I think I already gave away too much, so I hope you guys stick around, enjoy it. And today's music is brought to you by none other than Redcat himself with his song Mindset Flexible. Go support, go follow, go listen, go do whatever you gotta do to make this music known to your community, to your people. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the conversation, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Peace.
I just want some intel that is credible. I'm not a nigga with a beef that's federal. Big brain move, starts on bamboo, flexible, ain't something to do with the white and black beast. Caught behind me like a panda with the heat. This could be we. Last night, dodged on bamboo, big brain moves, flexible, and something to do with white and black beast. Caught behind me like a panda with the heat. This could very well be my last night. Anytime on the street, get blocker. You can call me the existential walker flocker. I go hard in the big picture pain. The narrow-minded and hateful, you can lick my chain. Breakfast, eating quotes that denominate Quaker. Baking waiting for the next big Cali earthquaker. I got 2 degrees, that's still not in the paper. I'm off the Adderall, it's in a pouch like a super.
Well, anyways, thank you for having me in your house. I know, especially right now at these times, it's like you want some random ass people coming, I'm still kind of random, but I'm healthy random.
Oh, you're definitely not random. You're the homie, man. Even though it's been, like I saw you yesterday, and it had been like 9 months or 2 months. Yeah,
exactly.
Halloween.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
but I think it's cool though, because I haven't had the chance to really hang out with people, obviously, because of all this stuff going on. But do I just blow it anyway?
Oh yeah, you're good. Anyway.
But like the small, the small get-togethers that eventually throughout this whole time you kind of inevitably kind of have, like, family members or something. It was cool though, because you can kind of like cherish a little bit more. If at least it feels like it. Like there's those little moments that you're like, oh damn, like they're not appreciated while we were pre-COVID, but now it's more like, oh okay, they're more. It's a humbling,
definitely
satisfying.
Kind of goes from that, man, it's another weekend where it's like, family thing is gonna take 6 hours, to like, oh man, I get to see my mom. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. And I've heard a lot of people, obviously older people who have like elder parents who haven't seen them in months, and it's like, damn, that must be hard for the person and for those elderly people,
The isolation, because I talked to my mom about that, because my grandma actually passed away in August of last year. But we're trying to find that gratitude to say, like, damn, I don't know what she would have, because she was such a social person, and like to not see us because she was in a kind of like a retirement place, nursing place, and then they weren't letting people in the whole year. Fuck. So that might have been worse than kind of she passed on her time. She had a full life, and all those things. But we were thinking about how hard it would have been for her.
Yeah, I mean, being alone in anybody's terms is psychologically it's very taxing. And if you don't find we're social creatures. Unless we're able to find something like that, we're gonna start going deep into our heads, man, and that's not always a good thing.
Yeah. And social creatures. That's why I like your. When I was just first listening to yourself, like social primate. That name is just so. I don't know. It's like it just gets us into like that expanding, like look at how interconnected we are. Yeah. How we forget that.
And low-key, that's how the name kind of came about. It was more like I wanted to kind of not just limit myself to one thing, go off the idea that we're a spectrum of different parts, and that's what ultimately makes us human.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
And that's why I think just in the same way we're saying like isolation, I don't even know where I would go with it, but it's like I don't know how babies are doing right now because babies work off learning your face and all that kind of stuff, and I see if they're only working with the third of somebody's face, I don't know how that's gonna like affect this social generation.
Damn, you're right, huh? No, I mean that's true because that's what our brain is wired to do, to recognize those faces, and as babies, like you said, that's like the what's the word I'm looking for? Primitive thing to look for, and you're right. Masks, damn, that is scary, huh?
Like that's where that's at least half of our expressiveness. I don't know the stats, of it, but they're just gonna be the best eye readers there ever were, or something. Maybe that's
they're gonna be able to tell when you're lying all the time. It's in the eyes. Yeah, man. But it's definitely been a few crazy. At this point, we're like 7, 8 months or so, and it's been a ride. It feels like it's getting weirder though. At least I don't mean to go into what's going on right now and things, but I feel like it's also gonna affect us in the next couple of months. But like the whole supposedly Trump having corona, and now he's saying that he's immune and he can't get it, he can't pass it, and it's like, dude, what is going on? Like, they're getting wacky.
And I wonder, I don't know, do you feel like anxious? Do you feel scared?
About the upcoming months?
Yeah, what you're talking about, or is it just like here for the ride, or what is your feeling on it?
I want to say, I feel for the most part, I feel like I'm just here for the ride. I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like every day I feel like for a lot of us, it's been mentally exhausting, kind of trying to keep up with the news, what's going on every day. And I feel like I'm definitely at that point right now where like you said, I'm more like, okay, I'm just going to see where this goes. But low-key, I am a little nervous. Yeah. Just because, also, it might be just because of what I'm, like, looking, like, media shit, all these influences, that's making me think, like, something's going to go down come election day. Whether it's people storming, some sort of coup or protests, or people getting shot on the streets, which has kind of low-key started happening. They're just having, a lot of people haven't gotten mob mentality and just, all collected and done it. But that's what I'm scared of.
Yeah, that's fair. And we're in like the LA area.
Yeah.
And we had our like protests during the summer. Mm-hmm. But we are a little like, I forget how like isolated in the sense of like how chill LA is.
Yeah.
How many different kind of people we have, how many different identities that coexist on a daily basis, where then you're watching something that's, in the South, the Midwest or something, and it just seems so like backwards that you almost can't. I can't believe some of the stuff that I see. Like,
yeah, it's outrageous sometimes.
Yeah,
the
anger, the hate, the racism, and like, I don't know if things are worse because you're on camera. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is a baseline, but but we have the video in front of us. But I don't know if people are showing out for cameras.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful, but then it's like on the other side, it has to be worse what's unseen. Across how many years.
I mean, and they can also say the opposite of that, like because of like. They can be just isolated incidents. Although it seems like it is happening all over the country, there's still just single instances of that happening in random spots, Yeah. Which I guess it does at the end accumulate to be a problem, I guess something manifesting itself. But once you put a camera in front of it, people think that's the reality of it, regardless of...
It's like we're just seeing everybody's worst moment.
Yeah.
Back to back to back to back for
Pretty
months
much.
on months on months.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so funny when you're saying Trump supposedly has COVID. Like, we're in a time where, like, that is the fairest assessment, supposedly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. As soon as he had it, I was like, whatever. It's fake. He'll never be able to prove if he has it or not. He's gonna, like, keep everything close to his chest, and that way he'll never have to debate again. Like, you're like, your head just starts spinning on, because the trust is gone.
The trust is gone. Yeah, I mean, so you're gonna make whatever assumption comes out of whatever action he does. You're like, okay, you're gonna start trying to see in between the lines, you know. But I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's a thing for everybody, though. That's why he has such a big following, you know, because it just seems like even the funny part to me was when he was at the hospital at Walter Reed Medical Center. There was people outside of the place, kind of hanging out, trying to show support for him, and it's like, dude, like, this guy's telling you that this doesn't exist, and now he gets it, and now you're all of a sudden supporting him, want him to get better, and then not only does he get better, but now it's the work of God because Trump is Trump. It's like, what? Like, where are you're putting him on some sort of pedestal where people who are very gullible are just going to, you know, feed off of it.
And it's one of those things where I don't know how gullible. I just have no idea how gullible you have to be. But then I hear other things. It's like I don't dig deep enough. I do take some like vow of ignorance on some things because it'd be a full-time job trying to like uncover everything and you know, see every point. But I hear in some ways Trump, he is doing the things for the people he said he's going to do them for. Yeah. So like evangelicals, you know, they get to hear God, they get to hear prayer, you know, they get to, and that's all they need. Someone who's validating their view, and and the political world has been in their view like pushing them out, trying to make things, you know, separating state and church, which you know is written into things, but like that's not what they want.
That's not what they want. No.
You know, and conservative judges. He's appointed more conservative judges across the whole country.
Yeah, man, that's gonna have a repercussion.
And those are the things where he could say whatever bonehead thing he wants, and you know, we get to sit here and be like, hell yeah, he's stupid as hell, just like I thought, and you know, high five ourselves on us being so woke and him being so stupid, and everyone who follows him. You know, you can get into that view. Yeah, but he's been like. Things have been happening that are going to affect us for decades.
Hell yeah. I know that there's a whole group of people that see this in these terms, you know? But there's also a lot of people who just see it as what's affecting me now. You know, as long as it's not affecting me 20 years from now, I don't care. Like, I'm free right now. I could do whatever I want. But that's when it comes in. Those judges, because those judges have longer terms than just a regular politician.
Yeah, at all levels, because you know the Supreme Court is the thing that gets all the you know all the hype. It's obviously the most important in terms of setting precedents and things, but it's at every level. Imagine if at every level you're trying to make your case and it's someone just conservative believing not what you believe, what you think is the status quo, when really legally it's not going to be.
Yep.
Like how many states now is like abortion illegal?
Dude, I know. It's like this big. For sure, you can see a backlash from Obama era to now, right? In terms of what's being dismantled, in a sense, what was kind of made. But I don't know. I think my most concerning part. I think recently he passed something like or he wants to pass like an act for patriotic education or something. Like to just instead of public educations teaching what America has done to other countries and peoples and cultures. No, it's going to be about what the great stuff America has done. So try to make a...
It sounds like propaganda.
It sounds like propaganda.
It sounds like you're talking... Yeah. Because I haven't heard. I was just like, man, that sounds like legal propaganda. the end of objective history. Which has always taken place in U.S. history. But to be so blatant... blatantly pushing it is a whole different
thing. Pull it up here. So, I got internet from my phone. Sick. So, one of the articles here is from Politico. It says, Trump demands patriotic education in U.S. schools. Children must be taught that America is an exceptional, free, and just nation worth defending, preserving, and protecting, he said. So, and he says, in a way to calm unrest in cities and counter lies about racism in the United States. So,
man,
it sounds like street propaganda. Is like Nazi, Hitler coming in and saying, "Look, you got to teach this certain way." Dude. Jews are monsters.
Yeah, you said Hitler, and that's scary. That's the thing that comes into your head because as you're reading that, I was like, "Damn, that sounds like the beginning of the Third Reich was all nationalism."
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I feel like in our history, but just like something in my like personal journey has just been trying to like comprehend time, what it really means in terms of like we look at the history of nations and periods and empires. America's 250 years old. Nothing.
Yeah, compared to the
nothing. A quarter blink of an eye of time of like the history, even of like developed countries, and we just like have such ego that's just been dripped down to us. Like that. If that patriot education thing, comes to fruition or not, but that's always been the propaganda of America. We got a little bit ahead on like making things. Won some wars, blew the shit out of a whole bunch of people.
Yep.
Became the world police, and more so lead every like media culture phenomenon in the last.
I mean, this is the media capital of the world. The U.S.
Yeah, so it's scary, man. So trying to understand time and try to understand like, how we look back at World War II and Nazi Germany, like the first year is actually. For them, they were fired. It was good. It was good vibes over there. People were like, it was good vibes. They were just having these huge nationalist rallies. Like, damn, we've been having a shitty time. Like, this is fire over here. And then you look up and you're dominating, and then you just got to follow your guy, and then unspeakable, unhumane things happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of shows just like I wouldn't even consider it tip of the iceberg. I'm not saying I compare both Trump and Hitler, at all, but. In terms of the ideas of how that is being processed by the masses, that is the problem right there. Because people are easy to give in to somebody. I like this guy. He says some dumb shit, but he's still my guy. Yeah. And whether he does some bad shit, like he said, like in some interview a while back, like I can go down to Wall Street and shoot somebody in the head, and people will they'll still love me for it.
Yeah.
And it's like exactly. At that point, it's not. I don't even think he's a problem. There's an underlying issue going on in people's mentality,
But I think that's the American mentality, though.
You think?
I really think because there's collective countries, there's collective cultures.
Yeah.
But America has always been an individualistic country.
Right.
So we go and so like things that we go back to of like violence. Violence is American. Like the Wild West. As a like era of the beginning of like pure American culture, we started on one coast as a country and then just swept through because manifest destiny. Because I can make I want it, so I made it and I took it from you and fuck you.
Yeah,
that's American culture, really.
That it is how that is the fuck you, it's mine.
And a more humanistic view is like, there's definitely strong pockets of like caring and humanistic people in America. There always has, and whether it's like the 60s culture or whatever it is, but I think we pretend like that's not our history. Shooting someone dead in the street has been our history.
Damn, that's a cowboy way.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're right, man.
Let's put your life on that.
Yeah.
You just disrespected me. Put your life on it. And that is something.
Duel. Slap somebody with a leather.
And it was without, and it was that that Europeans had duels, but there was just like so many rules to like European what do you say, aristocracy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Like they were just like a very like ritualistic point by point. This is every matter, like how to have manners on every single level. In America, just through all that, and it's just take. It's just it's just take. It's get over on somebody, stake your claim, stand your ground.
Yeah.
And that's why you can go to a state, stand your ground states, and if somebody comes at you, you can shoot them dead.
Damn, crazy. That sounds so savage. Like straight out.
And then that word, and that's why, again, just going back to my personal things, like time and words, because we're flooded with words all day long and they mean nothing, and they're like hot words like savage. That was like a good that was like its hottest 2018, like that was the word. It was just like everything was savage. And really how that word's been used in American history. It was a justification to like wipe out whole races of people.
Yeah, they're savages. Dehumanize them. Can't understand them. They're definitely not you.
Because they don't construct society. We're all social, but they don't construct society as we see it. So they have to be wrong.
Yeah.
They can't be more connected to the earth. Yeah. They can't, they can't know how to heal. They can't do it, they can't, all of their knowledge then becomes discredited. And
right. Yeah, exactly. Because if it's associated with some sort of negative, experience at that point. Yeah. But I mean, that's what Trump's all about, right? Make America great again. Okay, what does that really mean, guy? But we know what he means, like, I don't know if you got to, I'm sure you heard it at some point during the news, but when he basically did not denounce white supremacy, like on live television, you know, Proud Boys, stay back
and stand by
or something, yeah. And it's like, what? Like, dude, those are orders. Like, for the most part, of the most people I've talked to, you know, we can all agree, like, that sounds like an order. Like, hey, just listen to me. Like, just don't do nothing right now. But when the time comes, come out. You know. Like,
and it makes me think of. Did you ever see that old Mel Gibson movie? It's like The Patriot.
The Patriot. Yeah.
And and the Minutemen and militias. And militias and like, that's what like people are sitting out there thinking they are. And then we don't even know how stuff's gonna unfold. Maybe they are. Maybe there will be that power that they think they have of just like, if I organize, if I have weapons, I know the terrain better than anybody else in my area.
Yeah.
They probably will hold it down. And that's the thing. I could be talking shit, but if I was out in Mississippi somewhere, like, I would have to do whatever the fuck they said if it really went down. Nobody else is coming through, and they all have ARs and unlimited ammo that they've been stocking for 20 years.
Yeah. They've just been straight out practicing.
And then I guess I've tried to tie shit together. Like, the other thing about American culture is like, you don't have to be the smartest person. The actual smart people are just tools. Mm-hmm. Tools to exploit. You came up with technology? Thanks, nerd. Fuck you. and all I have to do is have the means of production. All I have to do is like know how to use it, and I can dominate somebody.
Damn, that makes perfect sense. You know, it has been the history, and I think that the latest thing too a few months ago is that the FBI, I think it was the FBI, mentioned that right now the top domestic like terrorist group in the United States is white supremacist groups. And I had a conversation in the last podcast with a couple of my friends, and they were saying like that's why they're coming up. They feel like their country is being taken over, you know. And I was like, oh shit, that makes sense. Like they feel like they're losing their country.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what media, in terms of like training people, anything over like education in the schools, it's like how movies, shows have like been showing this picture to certain groups of people for a long time. So I know it's an old school movie now. It's like a childhood movie for people, like The Patriot, or like in the 80s it's like Red Dawn. Of just like, we're not gonna stand for this. You're not gonna roll over this country. And you know, in a general way, that's like, you would say, oh, that's dope. Like America would stand up for itself. But now you see what it really looks like, and what they're standing up for isn't like, they're standing against isn't some vague power in Europe or vague other world power. It's just the ideas of equality. The ideas that like somebody isn't better than somebody else. And I think when people like have lost this power that they've had so long, because it's like white and black, or white and brown, or white and, I hate that it has to be that frame, you know, that dichotomous frame that I think we're like evolving out of, and understanding that like it's not really a white and black thing anymore. I think we're finally getting to that point. It's not a white and black thing anymore. It's just like an aware and a hate thing. And it happens to be, though, the groups that, like you're saying, the white supremacist groups are the ones that like are holding all that hate,
the hate,
and that need to like not lose what they think is rightfully their manifest destiny, like mindset that has gone back so long.
And it continues, man. As long, I think that's why going back to the whole trying to teach like patriotism at schools again, or not again, but just kind of have more power over it. That's just trying. It's like that fight. They're just finding little ways where they can still hold that control. But I mean, you can't at this point. We have the internet.
Yeah.
Like you can look up any information, unless they go and tell Google, "Hey, you get like fucking China."
Let's like scrub stuff. Or,
exactly. Make sure nothing about China looks bad. But the same with here. Then, I mean, by that point, it's too late. I think it's silly, because at that point they already have control over what's going on in the web, you know.
And the scariest thing is, though, that's not seeing something as is not the end all be all. That's the Trump era is like, truth is so irrelevant. Yeah. And I know we hear that all day. It's like, truth is so irrelevant. I literally just I just am right because I said so. Yeah. And for your leader to say that, and then for every closed-minded person at home that gets that modeled for them, and then I get to walk with that same swag all day. I'm right because I said so. And that's the craziest thing I can ever imagine. But you see it, like, that's the only logical conclusion of what's at the, like, core belief of, like a lot of the videos you see of, like, stuff people are saying and doing. The only core belief can just be, like, I'm right. Just cause.
Just cause.
And that will fuel me till the end, till my end. You know, and, like, that's...
Man. See, but as a person, you know, you go through different states, right? Different emotional states. I'm pretty fucking sure that at some point after you had that, I'm hoping you come to a moment where you're like, I'm an asshole, you know, and be reflective about it and want to change, you know. But I don't know. I really don't know what it takes to go from being that, you know, in terms of personality, to really wanting to change and be like, okay, I'm a dick. Like, there's no doubt about it. Maybe I should stop or slow it down a little bit, you know?
But I'm a dick. It's so subjective. And then it goes back to, like, just... Again, I'm just kind of... I think I'm just, like, you know, in conversation, like, these are just things I reflect on, too. Of, like... So, when I'm saying for myself personally, themes I like are, like, time. But also one is just, like... So time, but also, like, that collective and individualistic, which I was saying earlier. Oh, okay. Like, reflecting on, like, what that value as an individual, but also as, like, a family, as a community, as a state, as a country. Because, you know, you have, like, all these levels, micro to macro. And, like, where your lens is at these different levels is really, like, a key part of, like, how things play out.
Yeah, right.
So you're, like, you know, so I'm hearing you say, like, obviously I want to not be a dick, so it's going to hit me one day. But that dick only refers to, like, you acknowledging that there's some collective action across humanity. There's a social contract that then you should kind of care about, of, like, what you owe to your fellow, like, human being, their worth, all these things. But for them, I don't know if it would ever hit that they're being a dick. That same behavior is like, I'm being proud. I'm being, in my world, I'm righteous.
Like, I got a question for you. Do you feel, like, you personally, at what point did you, I mean, like, feel aware about these thoughts and decide, like, everybody's just living their experience, you know? Everybody's just trying to live. Because I'm sure that's not a train of thought for everybody. I'm sure there's kids, but like, for you,
for me, it's like,
do you remember that?
I don't know, like, coming to the fact that there's no universal reality and perception is reality, therefore, like, reality is subjective. You know, like, just that slip of through your hands of, like, anybody can be on the same page, really. You know, it's just enough people that are connected, and it's close enough, and we can make conscious and self-determined action together that creates a unified reality. But just, like, straight perspective, that is your uniqueness. That's the only thing you have that's really yours. Because you know, because everything you perceive is every moment that you've ever had, everything anybody's ever told you, bouncing around unconscious, subconscious. What information if I can perceive 100, but I can only consciously have 10, and so I guess I didn't answer your question at all. But all that kind of, like, all that stuff, all that stuff comes from, like, I guess, like, my education or, like, my experience. And I guess if I was honest, like, going back, like, I just always thought I'm black. That's all I know. I'm black. And then you know, I find out Ancestry.com, I'm 60% European. You know, but that means nothing. In America, I'm black, and I've been black, and my family's black, and that's, of course, you know, that's the culture that I was inherited. And then I grew up in schools where it's, like, mostly, like, Filipino, and then, like, just different Hispanic cultures. So, like, I think it was mainly, like, Salvadorian, Mexican, and maybe some, like, Guatemalan cultures that I, like, grew up around. So it's like,
so you had, like, that exposure to different experiences, or I guess a different variety of cultures. I mean, that's enough for you to have a broadened view of everybody's life is not the same, you know?
Right. And I think the quickest way to consciousness or awareness is just, like, not fitting in. You know, just, you know, because that just snaps you out of flow. To just say, like, well, I know I don't look like anybody here. We're chilling, but I mean, just, like, that just, you have to, like, be oriented to that earlier.
That's very true.
You know, and, like, and that's why, I guess, in that same way of, like, I'm so glad we're living in a world with more, like, representation, or, like, seeing the value of representation, because for some people that might be the thing that, I don't know, just, like, makes them retreat into themselves, makes them so introverted and isolated, makes them hate themselves, hate their features, like, all these things. So I'm very grateful that it didn't, like, put me on that path, but it was just something that just, like, no, like, okay, I'm black, there's gonna be a lot of things people don't know about being black. Everybody's still, like, generally cool. If they're not, they make it obvious, and that's how you just navigate the world in general.
Fuck. And that's, you see, that's the crazy part about being a person of color in that sense, because you're being indoctrinated into a culture, because you know, we each have our different cultures. Culturally, it's completely different than the American way, you know. And definitely, at least for me, my parents, although they didn't have like a lot of, you know, they didn't represent their Mexican heritage so much when they came over here. You know, they were just hustling and working, obviously, and they were trying to assimilate to the society, to community. Quick side point, like there was this time in school, like in probably say like the late 90s, I was like in 3rd, 2nd grade, like 97, 98, and they had passed this law where the teachers couldn't speak to kids in Spanish anymore. You know, if people who were like in English as a second language classes, for the most part they'll speak Spanish. So they passed this law that after this specific date, the teachers couldn't communicate in Spanish. If so, they were gonna be like, I don't know, they would get in trouble or something. But it was weird. I mean, I knew both English and Spanish, but I saw the kids that didn't, and they were having such a hard time. They were being held back grades, man.
Yeah.
Like, obviously their grades dipped because there was nobody there to help them translate what the fuck they were doing.
Right.
But it's the whole thing, you know. They try to make you assimilate to it, like, you know, we're not gonna let you talk Spanish here for you know. It was like a decade after they took it off or something. But the whole time, like all those kids with those traumas that they had because they had to understand something that they had no idea, and there was nobody there to help them.
Yeah, and then that affects just the whole generation, because everything's just an experiment.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, that when you were talking, I always like have to acknowledge the thing that would distract me, then I can get back focused. But it's just like, you know, that way of just like, there's one stream, mainstream, like back to words, mainstream. Yeah. What does that mean for like trying to drive a culture, trying to drive a country, trying to have a mainstream, so I can control every outlet that goes into it. And then educationally, I can control every lane that leads into it. You know what I mean? And then they can just make decisions, wide-reaching decisions, to say like, I don't care what your story is. I don't care about child development. I don't care about language. I don't care about how you learn. Yeah. This is my stream. And then for what? You know, even if that's something that is 10 years, how many kids go through that system? How many minds and self-esteems are like tethered to that system? Yeah. You know, a brilliant kid, you know, that you could have been in your class, brilliant kid, speaks Spanish. Then you're thrown into something where just like, nothing. Yeah. I just got nothing. My brilliance is irrelevant because I can't even plug in here.
Exactly.
You know, it's like if we
fucked up.
As I'm looking at an outlet, it's like having, you know, just Euro outlet. It's just like you just can't transfer or connect, and then it's. But then who knows how that kid had felt about themselves because they weren't able to achieve in that system. Yeah.
I mean, I think for the most part, like, you know, you hear about the experiences where obviously people were put in situations that were against them, but they arose, you know, they use that as a catalyst to kind of like do better, you know, and they do a lot better overall, you know, because they have those challenges early on to say, you know what, I know the system's against me, I'm going to keep going and do a lot better, you know. But again, it's traumas, like you said, with those babies with the masks. Like, you don't know what that's going to do for those babies in 10 years, you know. Yeah.
And it's so fun. And we see people that are like against all odds get it done here, and like that's the beauty of our media too. Like, there's so many inspiring stories, but it's kind of like the other side of that's like, okay, you get to watch the winners of the Hunger Games and be inspired. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just like stuff that in other countries aren't so competitive or so, you know, just like, I'm just thinking of countries where they have just so many more resources for like, and you would say that word socialist. They're socialist countries that we've been trained to like think is such a bad thing. But just like collective versus individual, that's a country that said like, at our core, collective success is the most important thing. And so top to bottom, how do decisions that need to be made fall in line to that value system?
Yeah, no, and like I wanted to bring up a point that you kind of brought up. It's called, let me pull it up here real quick. I think it's called the happiness index for the countries, like different countries, and it gives you a list of where like the countries stand, right? Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But the whole point while I'm looking this up is, you know, to me it's kind of interesting to know that although they're not in the best economical state for a lot of countries, they're more connected in terms of community. You know, like you walk outside. I've been to Mexico twice, and those few times that I went around the street for like the month that I was there, you see like the way people interact with each other. Like everybody's just like, hi, hola, you know, like being happy. Like, sure, there's people who are going through shit, you know, but like there's community, you know, there's this sense of connectivity between them, and you know they're not doing financially good. Here, everybody's kind of like, everybody's each their own, you know, like just walking around, like you don't even say hi to the guy, nobody. Unless you make eye contact, sometimes it's just like the weird long eye contact, and you're like, hey, and you turn around, whatever, you know. Yeah. But it's never the addressing, like when somebody says, hey, how you been? You're like, all right, good, see ya, you know, and you take off. And I've seen in other countries, at least from this, I'm just going based off YouTube videos that I've seen, so don't judge me, people. But it's, you go and people are like, they stand there to make conversation with you, and it's very interesting, just the way our countries work, you know. Yeah. But again, that's all about that mentality, that individual
based on
mindset.
Based on the way people give a shit in other places, right? Yeah. Well, we're driving in LA, and you know somebody cuts you off with a 405, and it's like, man, fuck your whole bloodline. Like, fuck your whole bloodline. We're just like, you know, we're just pit against each other in different ways, and it is a lot of mindset. It's all mentality things, but there's so little incentive to care about other people. Yeah, and I think
that low-key is why we're such in this mess with this whole COVID stuff. For the same reason, everybody's more like, oh, I don't want to wear the fucking mask. Like, it's an inconvenience for me. And like, I don't give a fuck about you. You know, I'm just not gonna wear it. And it's like that whole thing, you know. I mean, there's gonna be opposition in whatever is happening, you know. But you would think that with something like that, at least if you whether you believe it or not, you know, it's still something that's happening. And the fact that people don't want to just kind of be like, you know what, if I just put the fucking mask on, just walk out. Like, well, do whatever you gotta do, at least just to, I don't know, I guess flatten the curve, as they've been saying. It's like, why not? You know, like you would just think something of that measure will bring people together instead of dividing them more. Yeah. But,
and again, man, it's just like, that's just that collective versus individual mentality. Like, that's what comes with, like, how inconvenient it is for me.
Loki, Loki, do you think if that mentality in the country was changed, like, let's just go down some rabbit hole right now of imagination,
where we just get empathy just out the ass, it just pop. We wake up super empathetic. I think that's the only way. But
yeah, out of nowhere, sprinkle some drugs in the air. No, I would say, like, if, let's say, this Trump thing passes, right? Like this education thing where he wants to make the U.S. look at its achievements rather than its whatever the fucked up shit it did.
It's honest again.
And this continues. Do you think at that point we're obviously sacrificing the individual mindset to an extent, because at that point it's about our motherland, air quotes. And because I believe that, and you believe that, and everybody around us has been kind of taught that, and we've kind of accepted it to be a reality of it, sooner or later you're gonna get conditioned to be like, yeah, America's great. I thought that for a fucking while, like 20 years ago. I'll watch those movies, American movies, I'm like, fuck yeah, America, bro. And then next thing you know, I'm like watching these dark videos, and I'm like, oh, fuck that. I'm like, what the fuck has this country done, you know? And you learn about it. But going back to this rabbit hole, when that happens, do you think there'll be a more positive change in terms of the way we get shit done as a country, as a people, as Americans?
Because I don't even know if that could stick. Yeah. At this point, I just think it would make it would just more, people would be more entrenched. And it would go across like country lines, I mean, like, you know, state lines, county lines of like, but I mean, because the only way would be if it was like paired like what you were saying about China, if that would be the only way, if we also took away so much information,
right?
Because you know, I think that's the saving grace of, like, man, what would the world look like if there was no, or America even look like if there was just no way of passing information so quickly. If I really only had, like it was 70 years ago, like all I had was just like what the TV told me, what the radio told me, and then just talking to people around that you knew. And that was your only sources of information.
the part that makes me nervous is not like you said earlier, like I said, or like this few months happening. To me, the bigger fear is, and this is just me, like the really anxious, paranoid guy right now, but is they're playing a long game, you know? So like you start seeing just increments, like these small increments of changes in terms of how much access they have to information, you know? Like, I mean, it's obviously progressed a lot more, you know? But up to the point, like, let's say 50 years from now, I'm sure, you know, based on our age, we'll probably be like in our 80s or something, 90s. Take that, and I'll take the millennials or whatever. Let's just say people 20 years from now. By that point, those people have already been used to getting these privacy things. You know, they don't have any privacy.
Just getting nickel and dime
and
privacy.
Fucking 100 years from now, people are more used to like, oh yeah, I know what this guy's watching me, keeping me in check on this camera, you know. And then that's their long game. Like they get to that point.
Yeah. Dude, as you're talking, I don't know why I picture like just like little like fucking cameras that are just like in your house, like fucking flying around like a, I don't know, like the snitch on Harry Potter or some shit. Like, just like, and they're just all in your shit while you're literally taking a shit, and that would just be the normal. But I
mean, that would be the normal. That, and that's the part where, I mean, if you see like documentaries on China, they have surveillance systems where you're walking on the street and they're taking like, you have a grade on like a citizen grade. Yeah. Like this guy has an F because
like a Black Mirror episode, man. Like literally.
And that is happening in China, people. Yeah. And it's just not happening here because there's obviously laws that protect the consumers from doing that stuff so far. But slowly they're chipping away at trying to figure out what it is that they can control or take from you. And obviously that information, whether you believe it or not, it's to them is money. It's fucking a lot of information that they can use to control.
Yeah, information is everything, man. And that's what you said about the long game. And I think about that because, like, going back when I said like time, just like really trying to comprehend, because it was just a commercial for the new Call of Duty, and they're saying like the Soviets had this program. It's like a 3-phase program to destabilize a country, and it was like over a 20-year plan.
Exactly.
You know, so like really, I don't know if we're at the middle of a long game, if we're at the end that one started in the 60s or 50s or 40s or I don't know what, because when you talk about rabbit holes, I'd say from the last 5 years, YouTube and like that YouTube rabbit hole that then makes you do your own research has been the thing that has just like completely destroyed my worldview, and trying to rebuild it with all these question marks of like, because you know you get, I don't even like to get into that word conspiracy theory stuff, because that's just such a good label to like discredit everything and make people closed off. So my personal theory is like, if there's a grain of truth that you can find on YouTube or wherever you are, and they keep trying to take it down per se, or if not, they rather just flood it with 20 things that aren't true or tweaked enough that would mislead you. And to the task of trying to find the one and triple check that and like tie things together, you'd literally have to become a fucking madman to get down to it. And I think that's the genius of it all. That there is misinformation. There is complete stories, and almost like they've been a grand stage play in front of us, and you wouldn't know which parts are real, which pieces are props, or you know, in that metaphor. And there is the information out there to know what's true, but to try to find out would make you crazy. And then they can discredit, like, and then you're discredited by default. And that's the beauty, I think, of the American system of, like, how the government or the agencies within it have, like, kept the truth, like, in plain sight, but also impossible to prove.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they really want, you know? It's like they make you want to question it enough that you start questioning your own questions, and you start questioning that, and then at the end of the day, you just get crazy. Like.
Yeah, and you make the mainstream, back to like the mainstream narrative, you make it in such a way that like, I don't know, because then you get into like technology, for example. So like one of the rabbit holes is like, oh, we talked about Hitler. They're like, oh, Hitler was making anti-gravity craft.
Yeah.
You know, you see shit like that, and you're like, but then there's dudes that are talking for so long, and they have so much information, and you just have to just say, I don't know what's true, but the conversations, even to know the conversations that are happening on different levels of society or knowledge or whatever, is just like mind-blowing. Because I'm only just going to I'll end my ramble, but because there's people having conversations that say like, Hitler had anti-gravity things, and like they actually had so many submarines, and they were building bases in Antarctica.
Yeah.
And actually, the middle of the earth, there's hella room in there. And then there's like 3 million Germans living, like just things that are completely, because you're fed a certain thing. Like even though we're fed, like, you see an airplane. An airplane can only look kind of like a bird. That's the only way something can fly. Like that lie.
Yeah.
So our minds can't even comprehend the different way that energy looks, and then in different ways energy can be like manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just on level 1, but they have all 10 levels. You know what I mean? Like plasma and like all these different things. Cars can run off water. Every dude that's ever found that out, dead as fuck, so quick.
Dude, man, that happens to fuck. I mean, that's where, again, the whole conspiracy thing. Yeah. It's a conspiracy because somebody took the time to fucking start questioning it, and then you start throwing alternative facts, right? That's the quote nowadays. Yeah, like it doesn't make sense. It's a fucking it counters itself.
Yeah.
But anyways, so there was this I'm sure you heard of this MK Ultra. I've talked about this before, but like to me that itself, that it's already me. That was enough for me to question anything that the government does.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a bunch of other shit, but that one was like, okay, these guys, they're trying to go on another level. They're going fucking inside your head.
Yeah.
And for people who haven't heard of MK Ultra, just a quick summary was that they were testing LSD and other like super fucking strong psychedelics on just random people. Sometimes they're agents, and I think one of them called Midnight Climax or something like that, Operation Midnight. Mm-hmm. They were basically getting hookers to come into these hotels with these guys on LSD and see how they will react, and like they were legit just trying to find ways of getting into somebody's mind, because the whole Red Scare with fucking with Russia, it was all mental. They had patents to start doing mental mind control. Yeah, and it gets fucking. That's where it's like, what?
The competition of countries is wild in terms of how it's pushed. So many things.
Definitely.
Like we think it's, the Nazis are these horrible people that were cutting out brains to figure out, all right, what part cut, like if I scramble up here, what can't work anymore?
Yeah.
Now I know. High five. Bring in another one.
Bring in another one.
You know, and why would we think, I guess the biggest part, the sidebar, like the biggest part of me trying to expand my awareness or like curiosity is just like, if I see it anywhere, why would I think it's not going on? Why would I think the inverse of that doesn't exist?
Right.
And that's why, like, this one tattoo I have is like, it's actually, everyone thinks it's the Star of David, and that is the symbol, but it's older than like Judaism. It's like as above, so below.
Oh, nice.
And like that's the principle of correspondence. So everything that's going on at the biggest levels of the universe and time and space and God happen down to the smallest. Right. And if you want to like, and once you start looking at the world through correspondence, just mindfuck after mindfuck, because you can take it personal.
Yeah.
My dirty room is my unorganized room is my unorganized mind. That's personal application. But how I'm saying right here is like, as to science that I see in another country, for sake of advancement, without any social contract, and that people is a mouse is to person.
Yeah. On
how I can experiment and learn. No ethical guidelines. Why would I think that doesn't correspond to my own country? And then then when I think of Black history and the way they gave black soldiers STDs, see how that affects them. Like they gave them syphilis, or like testing their own soldiers in so many ways, because it's just for the sake of advancement. And I feel like MK Ultra, and that's the stuff that like fucks me up. And then I, just to think about like the ways that. Because when you were saying MK Ultra, I watched a thing on remote viewing that I think it was the CIA was doing, and it's just pretty much that like people have ESP, like people can see with concentration and focus of awareness, you can see anywhere in the world at any time, and it's like that by definition shows that actually like consciousness is this matrix always connected, and it's like without our human concept of time, it's just like these energetic connections, and actually we're all plugged in if we had the focus and knowledge and training, like an energy for it. So it's like they had people that could test like it's like impenetrable, these layers of all this science, I can't even fucking tell you this thing, a mile underground, a box, and something inside the box. A dude sitting in an office with the right directive could sit focus tell you what the paper says, you know, like that kind of thing.
Damn.
And they have this documented over and over and over again. That made countries crazy. Holy fuck, you can't hide anything, there's no secrets, you know. And then shut that, and then it's just like shut that down. So that was the grain of truth. And now I just put all my resources into discrediting it, fucking misinformation, throwing it off. And then this huge life, worldview changing thing that bubbled up to the surface through these experiments in the 70s. And it should lasted all the way to the 90s. I think that, like, I forget the name of the institute, the research that they were doing, but it's just gone. It's just like irrelevant.
Yeah. Just get it this.
The fact that I could see what's going on in a block in Hawaii right now. Irrelevant, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't know that, but it's like truth that was like clearly documented. You could watch a documentary about it. You could talk to the people who fucking did it.
Yeah.
But that's somewhere where the genius is also of our system that we're in. The truth is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you what the Cowboy score was today, but a whole human capacity that who knows what percentage of us have?
Yeah.
Nobody, you don't know that.
Oh my god, man! And this is happening right now too. Somewhere right now, they're doing this too. You know, well, the MK Ultra, I think supposedly they deleted all the records, right? The guy in charge of it managed to destroy the records, blah blah blah. And I call that bullshit. You know, of course they wouldn't fucking give up on something so valuable to them, you know. Like, who does not want to know what happens with the mind, you know? Like, that's like the most powerful key in terms of the next superpower, I guess, or the next super weapon.
Information. You know? We lock it away. That's the other part of his, like, hidden. Like, that's the word, like, words. Go back to words, like the word occult, meaning like hidden, and then it's just like a part of our human like consciousness to like hide really powerful and valuable information about our capacities. Because there's people that can't handle certain things. Like, people are at different levels of development of body and mind, but also of soul, of consciousness. You know, I don't know what you believe in. Like, I really believe our like soul's never ending. Yeah. You know, we're going through these cycles and things. But
like, in terms of what, like you physically change, but your soul continues to be the same soul.
I just think we just run lives from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, reading old, damn it, I'm really getting away from I think where I started, but like
it's so good, man.
But like reading old like the Hindus have like old knowledge. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, my awareness or curiosity is also like, what is this thing of us that's like, I'm here now, so we're the smartest?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong? Like, why do we think that? Why don't I trust the guy that was closer to the beginning, like the closer to the source? Every other thing we're told in school, like, first-hand account is the best. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? First-hand experience. Like, if I had a source in a thesis I was writing, oh yeah, I talked to the 300th guy who talked to,
You're right.
You know what I mean?
The message changes.
You know, you'd throw that the fuck out.
Yeah.
But then why, when we're looking at like the understanding of our whole human existence, the old people, eye roll, savages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like the Hindus have the text, and like the Bhagavad Gita was one I read, and like the first 20 pages, it just slap you upside your head with all of what being a human is. Because I hate that I don't do a good job of like, I wish I could recall the characters' names and all these things, but it was pretty much this general, and it's a civil war. He's talking to Krishna, the god, and he's like, damn, how can I kill all these people? They're my countrymen. Some of us they're our family. How could we kill them? And Krishna just was like, what makes you think you can kill, bro?
Yeah.
Like, nothing ever is destroyed. The souls are going to keep going. This is just you're just in flesh. You can't kill anything. You're not like, I'm God that created that. You can't kill that. Mm-hmm. If you're righteous, fucking run it. And that's probably the worst summary of a text. You know, I mean, like the most like casual description, but like for me that was the whole lesson. Like,
what was it called?
The Bhagavad Gita.
Let me see. I'm gonna check this out.
And that's just like an old Hindu text. And then like, the Hindus have these understandings of time that like everything is on cycles. So back to correspondence. Mm-hmm. A flower has a life cycle. The human has a life cycle. The universe has a life cycle. And so like their way of illustrating that is like they say, you know, everything that will exist is like an eye blink of God. And there's just going to be as much time closed and black and nothingness as there is life. And that's the cycle. It's more time than you can ever comprehend, but it is just a blink from God's perspective. So it's just like blink, whole universe, every life, me, you, every seed that will come from us, done, gone. But for us, in our perception of time, more time than we could ever comprehend.
Right.
So like things are just on cycles. And when I and when you think about that, that's the stuff that just, but nobody, it's uncomfortable. It's so much work. Yeah. It's so much like spirit. That's because that's spiritual work, really.
Yeah, you know what? I think that makes perfect sense. It's, again, it comes down to that mental energy. Like that that everything in your day exhausts you. Like whatever you're doing, you're consuming things. You're consuming things visually through your ears. Tactile, like everything. That is energy that's still being spent, going in and out of you. And that same reason, like a lot of people don't want to put that extra energy to ask those questions. And sometimes you do. Sometimes I don't know where they come out, because as humans, those questions come every now and then, and you feel that lingering of doom, just floating above your head. You're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die soon, or I'm dying, Yeah. And that's when you have those moments of
like existential dread.
Yeah, and then that's when you start questioning it, but then you get scared because you don't want to stay. It's easy, like, again, it's easy to get stuck in those mindsets as well. Yeah. So you need to learn how to kind of pull yourself out. Yeah. And for those people who don't want to, I think there is still hope. I personally went through those changes maybe a few years ago, where I felt like I needed to really change who I was, and not because somebody told me to. I just felt like I had some self-reflective moments and experiences that were very scary experiences. And they were all mental. They were under substances. Yeah. But that's what it was enough for me to be like, you know what? Like, I got to make some changes in my life, for my personal growth, not for anybody. And I think that's when I kind of started feeling more grounded with myself and trying to, I don't know, just be part of, understand myself, and then be part of something in my community in that sense. Or just be part of a bigger mind hype, or hive mind.
And I think that fear can drive us, that's like that human thing of like needs, obviously, fight or flight, the things that keep us going on just that cellular level. But they can also drive us on like an existential level. Yeah. And that's the thing though, like for me, like reading that text, the Bhagavad Gita or whatever, and it's just like, but really, like, that fear of dying then, yeah, what if I really accepted that, let that energy go all the way through me of what that would mean? Man, why would I fear anything? I'm timeless, bro. Yeah, literally. I'm never gonna look like this again. I'm never gonna be in this perspective. But
doesn't it feel like there's this weight just lifted from you? For that moment. For however you keep that mindset, because like you'll fluctuate, but in that moment you feel that weight of existential feelings just out, and you feel free. Yeah. Like you feel good. Like okay, like I got this.
Yeah, and that's the worldview part, or like that, like whatever understanding or pact you have with the creator energy, or if you want to, however you want to frame that stuff. But for me, I think I can accept. I've been on kind of like a spiritual worldview kind of journey since I was like 18. Just hit me. I don't know. I was like 18. It was just pop. Yeah. Hey, what the fuck? Why are we here? What is this? I don't think I ever really like fucked with like a perception of God. I just church always felt like, boy, this is some weird drone stuff. I got defensive enough that I never like let any part in. My apprehension about like the processes and not trusting any person in power and the history of like Wikipedia. Like if I could see a Wikipedia article and again correspondence, was like if I could see Wikipedia is not a trusted source and people can always edit it, like the same for these texts. So it's just like I closed myself off, just
revised versions.
Just like my apprehension about that closed me off to like, then I couldn't even feel but the God energy is real too, like spirituality of like how it feels you, and like that feeling you're talking about, the weight being gone and feeling connected and feeling confident and not scared. Yeah, just existing as human without fear comes from God. Like that feeling of God. And then I say now I'm finally to the point where like whatever my personal definition, I think I've like refined it, and I'm like at peace with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I accept. I go to this old text. I feel like I fuck with reincarnation. I fuck with our souls existing as this indestructible energy, and then just reading enough like perspectives and just like what felt right in my heart, just like go with that. I really like the idea that we kind of like have some choice or selection in the journey that every life that we're doing. We picked it, because that's the other thing that causes so much existential dread to me, because if you don't accept or don't have this knowledge or this perspective, or at least this curiosity, then you're thinking, hey, fuck this, I didn't ask to be born. I was on that for like several years.
Yeah.
Circumstances, like, fuck, I didn't ask for any of this. I wasn't knocking, I wasn't saying, come on, guy, come on, run me this life, please, please, please. And that's how, like, when a lot of suicidal like feelings come, because I work in mental health and like I see a lot of suicidality, and it's just like, I didn't choose this. I didn't choose trauma. I didn't choose fear and pain. I didn't choose losing love. You know, I didn't choose not having any of my basic needs met, let alone getting into like darker shit, like, you know, in more detail. And from that perspective, having that life, and that's why I'm gratitude. Like, I don't know if I could have a spiritual journey. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know what I would cling on to or who I would cling on to, but just like having my basic needs met, getting to explore ideas just openly. It's like I've arrived at, we're souls. It's just rollover life. We're choosing. We're getting lessons. We're up in our like. It's like an RPG. Yeah. And like the escape. You know, RPG. It's an RPG of soul development. Yeah. And that's my worldview. So whatever lesson I had, I asked for it or I wanted it. I peeped this whole life, and because time's not even how we comprehend, I peeped how the whole life was gonna go. Ooh, I need to run that one. Yeah. Bloop. You know, putting it in a physical like ways helps you comprehend it, but you know, and all that shit existing on like planes we can't even. Yeah. You know, your mind just goes blank. My mind just goes blank trying to like picture like for real. You know what I mean? But.
Is that? No, I'm just getting mind fucked right now, like back to back. Nah, man, it's the truth, and again, those experiences, I think I like to believe that sooner or later, each and every one of us, because we're in different levels, we're gonna experience them at different times. But I do believe that we do experience that, you know, that growth, you know, and I'm not talking about it in an individual, physical, human level, but because, you know, I also believe like in like a soul, spirit. That's where that transcends to, you know, that experience gets attached to that soul and experience as you keep moving forward. Yeah. You know, and at the end of the day, you're just a collection of all those experiences that you've also had, you know. I mean, that is our life right now, because, you know, people listening to this are like, man, Chris, what you said is bullshit. You know, and there you go about the day and believe whatever they believe. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, we're all asking those same questions, you know, and I think we're all looking for those answers and finding something to kind of attach ourselves to. I don't know, you know, I do it. Yeah, you know, it's, you know,
and that's why you said like hive mind, and I've heard you like I think reference that before. Yeah. Like it's the mind, it's that collective consciousness shift. You know, that's like a bit of a new agey thing, but it's like really. I do feel like, no cap, that you know, the world is on that consciousness shift, and like the fact that like so much information just can't be held back anymore. Yeah, and it's how it's flooding, and that's when you look at generations that were like, because even 7 years younger than me, I'm 29. It'd be like they were watching all the shit about Illuminati in 10th grade. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, for sure. Global, shit's being run by powers. Fucking, they're just hiding in plain sight. They're fucking with us a little bit. All right, that's the game. And they just like incorporated that and fucking went on their way. You know what I mean? So like, how many mentality things that just by the fact that, you know, you see a 5-year-old kid just like running through a tablet. They can do so many, you know what I mean, like just doing so many things on like these interfaces that I think the hope is in the consciousness that younger generation is having. When the floodgates opened, and then for the child's mind to accept all these things is like the thing that's going to like really change us. And we're, you know, and we're seeing it on different levels, like the Gen Z is the classification for it, whatever, but just like they've accepted so many truths and weren't as because the mainstream for us still in our age bracket, the mainstream was controlled.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To some degree, the internet existed. You had to dig, but now it's like everything's kind of on the table.
Yeah,
and then news and everything else just pretends like it's not. I'm just not gonna plug this video. 5 million people have seen it, but and we can't just take down everything anymore. Like the gates are open. Now it's just so many streams, so many rivers of things, and people like getting these platforms to take back control of distributing media. You got SoundCloud, you got YouTube, you got all these things, different things that it's just the individual can get right to another individual.
Right.
I don't have this middleman brokering whether I think people can handle that or not. And so that's why I really do think like consciousness is growing. What that means for what we get to do with it, or what we get to access, or how like still tightly the government holds on to like, all right, fuck, I had a good run though. They didn't really know for 100 years. You know what the fuck I could do in 100 years?
Yeah, exactly. That's their long term. No, but that makes sense. Because all those little small platforms are coming out. Again, there's no control. I think at this point it's a little too late for them to go in there and, unless they change all their laws, again, the long term plan, like 100 years, they control the whole internet. But for now, I think they're just trying to fucking catch up. Like, oh fuck, we gotta access right now, especially with like something like podcasting. Podcasting and YouTube videos, like blogs. All of those forms are YouTube uploads. Like I'm sure billions of fucking videos every day. Like how much information is being processed at that moment, and that just gives you the sense that there's no way of controlling that. I mean, I'm sure like when they violate their policies or something, they'll try to take it down, but once it's on the internet, it's going to be reshared as a repost until the algorithm can't even catch up to that shit.
And when I think of like that, and I think of like things I'm grateful for, I'm thankful for the humans that are like, I'm going to contribute to society just by sitting at the tap of information. You know what I mean? Like there's people that are just like, new shit, 0 views, I'll watch it. This is good, I'll pass it up. Like there's some way that people are plugging into society, just like that's what they give to that's their contribution to humanity. You know what I mean? Like everything that reached you guys had to like, somebody had to like start the process, and there's people out there doing that.
Yeah, people are judging like, that guy doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I mean, he's kind of doing something.
So I'm grateful. I'm grateful as hell for those people.
Yeah, man. But we're at the time, Chris.
Yes, sir.
But dude, great conversation, man. I cannot tell you how many times I got mind fucked. And again, it's like I like these conversations especially because you leave and I'm still like, it's like lingering in your head, like something about whatever was said, and you take that in, with whatever you're doing, and it kind of, gives me a few days to just kind of chew it up, really give a taste for what we were talking about, and it feels like I grow like a little bit. It reminds you like, fuck, like you gotta kind of, if you're not on track right now, it's not too late for you to kind of just get back on there.
Yeah, man, that's the power of conversation, and I'm
man.
Thank you for letting me speak with you, chop it up, hit a ball. It's so funny. We talked about things we might want to focus on. We didn't talk about any of those things.
Yeah. See, that's what I tell you.
You did tell me that. Yeah.
It just happens. But because it's just more when it's natural. It's a flow. And it's just a natural flow, and I like just chasing that. But. Yeah, man, I hope it's not the last time that we do this. But yeah, dude, thank you again.
Thank you, man.
I'm not a nigga with beef, that's federal. I pull up when the mindset flexible. I said fuck it all like I was pansexual. I just want some intel that is credible. I'm not a nigga with a beef, that's federal. Big brain move, starts on bamboo. Flexible, ain't something to do with the white and black beast. Caught behind me like a panda with the heat. This could be we. Last night, dodge on bamboo. Big brain moves, flexible, and something to do with white and black beast. Caught behind me like a panda with the heat. This could very well be my last night. Anytime on the street, get blocker. You can call me the existential waka flocka. I go hard in the big picture pain. The narrow-minded and hateful, you can lick my taint. Breakfast, eating quotes that denominate Quaker. Baking waiting for the next big Cali earthquaker. I got 2 degrees, that's still not in the paper. I'm off the Adderall, it's in the pouch like a souped up my super yard. Just high enough, still feel God and miserable. I'm just enough together to convince her that I'm stable. Marijuana, black and miles, those are the staples. I too would prefer to be dripping like maple syrup. Take your red. Fasting and meditate, I'm sure that's what the cure is. And if I sip the whole seal, I could be a dead ISO killer. It's warfare, they are silverback gorillas. She said she feeling loopy, has no idea what the pill was. Okay, we out, swipe the card, I don't care what the bill was. Arco in the we store, that's a double gas fill up. We cruising, feeling flyer than the plane with its wheels up. They pulled up in the mind, said flexible. I said fuck it all like I was pansexual. I just want some until that's credible. I'm not a nigga with beef, that's federal. I pulled up with the mindset flexible. I said fuck it all like I was pansexual. I just want some until that is credible. I'm not a nigga with a beef, that's federal.
Never.